Why was Roger Hunt blamed for something he never did? A World Cup winner, Liverpool's record goal scorer for over 2 decades, and yet somehow his legacy was clouded by unfair criticism. His name should be spoken with the same reverence as England's greatest, but instead history placed him under a shadow of resentment. The biggest misconception? That he was the reason Jimmy Greaves missed the 1966 World Cup final. In reality, Greaves' spot was taken by Geoff Hurst, not Hunt. Yet for years, many fans directed their frustration at Hunt, labeling him the undeserving one. Then there was his deep bond with Bill Shankly, a relationship that made him a Liverpool icon, but also led to divisions among England supporters. To Scousers, he was Sir Roger, a warrior in red. To others, he was just another name in a golden generation. So why did football turn against a man who gave everything? Why was one of England's finest ever strikers overlooked for decades? The truth reveals a deeply unfair reality, one that needs to be told. If football history has taught us one thing, it's that some legends don't get the credit they deserve. Hunt's story is proof. If you believe football's forgotten icons deserve their due, then stick with us. And don't forget to subscribe, because their stories need to be heard. Liverpool wasn't built on flair. It was built on fighters, workers, and relentless goal scorers. And no one embodied that more than Roger Hunt. When he arrived at Anfield in 1958, Liverpool were struggling in the second division, far from the giants they would become. But Hunt? He wasn't there to play for a mid-table side. He was there to change Liverpool's history. His impact was immediate. On September 9, 1959, he made his debut and marked it the only way he knew how, by scoring. A 2-0 win over Scunthorpe and the first of hundreds of goals in a Liverpool shirt. Then came 1961, when Bill Shankly started shaping Liverpool into a dominant force. And at the heart of it? Hunt. In the 1961-62 season, he fired an unbelievable 41 goals in 41 league games, dragging Liverpool back into the first division. It wasn't just promotion, it was the start of a new era. Once Liverpool were back where they belonged, Hunt refused to slow down. He led them to their first league title in nearly 2 decades, winning the 1963-64 First Division. Then in 1965-66, he did it again. And in between those titles, he delivered one of Liverpool's greatest moments, helping them win the FA Cup in 1965, their first ever triumph in the competition. By the time the decade ended, Hunt had shattered records, 286 goals in 492 games, a number so absurd that it stood for 23 years before Ian Rush finally broke it. But despite everything he achieved, his legacy never received the respect it deserved. Even as Liverpool's greatest marksman, he was still overlooked. And when he played for England, the same pattern followed. For most strikers, winning a World Cup would cement their place in history. But for Hunt, it only added to the controversy that followed him for the rest of his life. A World Cup win should be a striker's ultimate validation. For Roger Hunt, it became another reason to be unfairly underrated. In 1966, Hunt was England's starting forward, scoring 3 goals in the group stage, a contribution that should have secured his status as a national hero. But instead, he became the subject of criticism he never deserved. The moment that changed everything? Jimmy Greaves' injury in the group stage. When Greaves was ruled out, the expected change was clear. Geoff Hurst stepped in. Hunt wasn't even part of the decision, yet somehow he took the blame. Fans, especially those loyal to Greaves, unjustly saw Hunt as the reason their favorite was sidelined. It wasn't logical. Greaves was replaced by Hurst, not Hunt. But football isn't always about logic. Narratives take over. And then came the final, England versus West Germany at Wembley. Hurst stole the show with a historic hat trick, while Hunt played a crucial but often ignored role. He was the relentless workhorse, stretching defenses, creating space, and leading the line with intelligence. And then came the most controversial moment of the match. Hurst's second goal, the infamous "did it cross the line" strike. Roger Hunt was the closest player to the ball. If he had any doubt, he would have finished it off. But Hunt turned away in celebration, convinced it was in. That instinctive reaction influenced the referee's decision to award the goal. And yet, his name was barely mentioned. After the final whistle, England were champions. But when history was written, Hurst became the icon. Greaves became the tragic hero who never got his chance. And Hunt? He was the man everyone forgot. Even at Liverpool, where he had given everything, Hunt still found himself caught in moments of misunderstood controversy. And one clash with Bill Shankly almost changed everything. Loyalty, work ethic, humility. These were the traits that defined Roger Hunt. But in one infamous FA Cup match, emotions got the better of him, and it led to a rare clash with Bill Shankly. It was a crucial tie against Leicester City. Liverpool needed their best performance, and Hunt was expected to lead from the front. But things didn't go to plan. The game was tight, frustrations ran high, and in the second half, Shankly made a decision that stunned the crowd. He substituted Roger Hunt. Hunt was furious. He had given everything on the pitch, fought for every ball, yet he was the one taken off. The frustration boiled over. As he walked off, he ripped off his shirt and threw it to the ground. In that moment, it wasn't just a jersey hitting the turf. It was years of unwavering loyalty momentarily shattered by raw emotion. Shankly, never one to tolerate dissent, was furious. The Liverpool boss confronted Hunt in the dressing room, and the tension was undeniable. For a brief moment, it seemed like a rift had formed between two of Liverpool's greatest icons. But here's what made Hunt special. He didn't let pride ruin what he had built. He didn't sulk, didn't demand special treatment. Instead, he took responsibility. He and Shankly talked it out, and the respect between them remained intact. The fans, however, weren't as forgiving. Some saw his reaction as disrespectful. Others believed it proved a growing rift between Hunt and Liverpool's management. Whispers of a potential exit began circulating. Little did they know, Hunt's time at Liverpool was nearing its end, but not because of this incident. Despite the controversies and the critics, Hunt left Liverpool as a legend, holding records that stood for decades. But was he ever truly appreciated for what he achieved? Some footballers are remembered for a season, others for a decade. But true legends leave a mark that stands the test of time. Roger Hunt was one of them. For years, he was Liverpool's undisputed goal machine. The numbers speak for themselves. 286 goals in all competitions, a record that stood untouched for 23 years before Ian Rush finally surpassed it. But Hunt's impact wasn't just about goals. It was about how quickly he got them. He became the fastest player in Liverpool's history to score 100 top-flight goals, achieving the feat in just 152 games, a record that lasted until Mohamed Salah broke it in 2021. By the time he left Liverpool in 1969, he had 2 First Division titles, an FA Cup, and countless memories that defined a golden era for the club. But for all his achievements, something was missing. Unlike his World Cup winning teammates, Hunt never truly got the national recognition he deserved. His quiet demeanor, his refusal to seek the limelight, qualities that made him respected in Liverpool, also meant that outside of Anfield, his greatness was often overlooked. After leaving Liverpool, he spent a brief spell at Bolton Wanderers before retiring in 1972. His final days on the pitch weren't filled with the same glory he had once known, but Liverpool never forgot him. When he was honored with a testimonial match at Anfield, 56,000 fans packed the stadium to pay tribute. It was a moment of pure appreciation, a reminder that, no matter what the history books said, Roger Hunt was a legend in the eyes of those who mattered most. But despite everything, the records, the trophies, the unwavering loyalty, Hunt's name never carried the same weight as his peers. Why was one of England's greatest goal scorers left in the shadows? Greatness isn't always measured in trophies. It's measured in respect. And for Roger Hunt, that respect never fully came. Despite being Liverpool's all-time top scorer for 23 years, a World Cup winner, and a key figure in England's greatest football triumph, he was never truly embraced as a national hero. Why? For starters, Hunt wasn't a media personality. He didn't chase headlines, didn't demand the spotlight, didn't play for the cameras. He let his football do the talking. But in an era where characters like George Best and Bobby Moore dominated the headlines, Hunt's quiet professionalism worked against him. Then there was the England divide. Many Southern-based England fans resented the fact that Hunt played over Jimmy Greaves, even though it wasn't his decision. The truth didn't matter. Perception did. And that perception stuck with him for years. Even at Liverpool, where he was adored, his legacy was eventually overshadowed by Ian Rush, Kenny Dalglish, and the club's dominance in later decades. His contributions, though monumental, faded from mainstream memory. It wasn't until 2006, 40 years after the World Cup win, that Hunt was finally honored with a knighthood, years after many of his teammates had already been recognized. A late gesture, but one that couldn't rewrite history. In 2021, Roger Hunt passed away at the age of 83. Liverpool paid tribute, calling him one of the greatest strikers in the club's history. Yet outside Anfield, there was no national outcry, no major headlines, just a quiet farewell to a man who gave everything to English football. So here's the question. How does a player who won it all, scored the goals, lifted the trophies, carried a club and a country, still remain so underappreciated? Legends like Roger Hunt deserve to be remembered, not just by those who saw them play, but by every football fan who values history. If you believe stories like these should never be forgotten, subscribe and join us as we uncover the hidden legacies of football's greatest figures. Thanks for watching.